The first patient. The year was 2198. Earth was no longer the planet it used to be. Cities were broken. The sky was always gray. After the Great War and the last plague, only a few humans were alive. Most hospitals were empty. Medicines were finished. Doctors were dead. But in the middle of this broken world, there was a rumor. People said there was a doctor. An alien doctor. He lived deep underground. No one knew where he came from. But those who found him came back healed. One cold night, a group of soldiers came running through the ruins of old New York. One of them, Private Juno, was badly injured. His body was bleeding. One leg was broken. He was not going to survive. The other soldiers knew only one hope: take him to the alien. The captain said. They entered an old subway tunnel. After walking for hours, they reached a strange door. It was made of smooth, white metal. It opened by itself. Inside, it looked nothing like Earth. The walls were glowing. Machines were floating. The air smelled clean. And there he stood. The doctor. He was tall, wearing a long silver coat. His skin was light blue. His eyes were completely black. He did not blink. He walked slowly to the injured soldier. He looked at Juno for a moment, then said in a calm voice, "If you want milk, just close your eyes." Everyone in the room was silent. "Milk?" the captain asked. "You mean medicine?" The alien doctor did not answer. He only repeated, "If you want milk, just close your eyes." Juno was in pain. He had no choice. Slowly, he closed his eyes. The alien walked to a smooth table and pressed a button. A small container came out. It was filled with white liquid milk, but it glowed softly. He brought it to Juno's lips and let him drink. The room became silent. Again, for exactly 30 seconds, nothing moved. Then, suddenly, Juno gasped. He opened his eyes. His body was fine. No blood. His leg was straight and strong. The wounds were gone. He stood up. The soldiers were shocked. "It's a miracle," someone said. Juno looked confused. "I feel strange, but good." The alien doctor smiled softly. "He is complete," he said. But one soldier, named Marco, had secretly placed a small hidden camera on the wall. He wanted to record the healing. He didn't trust the alien. Later that night, when they returned to their base, Marco opened the footage. He skipped to the moment when Juno closed his eyes. But the screen showed nothing, just static. For 30 seconds, the video was completely blank. Then Juno was healed. "No way," Marco whispered. "What happened when his eyes were closed?" He tried to slow down the video, enhance it. But it was just static, white noise. Like time had stopped. The next day, people heard the story. Crowds began searching for the alien doctor. Sick people, injured people, all wanted the milk. Every time, the alien said the same thing. "If you want milk, just close your eyes." And every time, the patient returned healed. But not everyone was happy. A news reporter named Laura wanted answers. She tried asking the healed people what they saw. Some said, "I saw lights." Others said, "I don't remember anything." One man said, "I heard a voice in my mind. It was not human." And then, a small boy who was healed suddenly started speaking in an unknown language. A language no human had ever heard before. The boy smiled and said, "He showed me the stars." People began to ask questions. Was this really healing? Or was something else happening when their eyes were closed? One old woman shouted, "He is taking something from us. It's not just milk." But the alien doctor never explained. Every time, his answer was simple. "Too much seeing is dangerous. Just close your eyes." And far away, in the sky above Earth, something was watching. Something big. Something waiting. The alien doctor had become a legend. More and more people were visiting the underground clinic. Some came with broken bones. Some with deadly diseases. Some were already half dead, but all returned healed, clean, strong, and different. They only had to do one thing: close their eyes. But not everyone believed the alien was a savior. Laura Myers, a famous reporter, watched the videos again and again. She didn't trust what she saw, or what she didn't see. No one could explain how the healing worked. There were no tools, no machines, just the milk. And those 30 seconds when the patient's eyes were closed always ended in static. Laura made a decision. "I want to meet the doctor," she told her team. "But I'm not going as a patient. I'm going as a spy." She dressed as a sick woman and joined the long line outside the hidden clinic. People waited in silence. Some prayed. Some cried. Many looked afraid, but also hopeful. Inside the glowing room, the alien doctor stood exactly as before. Tall, calm, quiet. When it was her turn, Laura walked forward slowly. She coughed and held her side like she was in pain. The doctor looked at her with those black, endless eyes. "If you want milk," he said, "just close your eyes." She nodded, but she had a trick. Laura wore special contact lenses. They looked like closed eyelids, but her eyes were actually open. She wanted to see what happened. The doctor walked to the table. The white milk appeared again, glowing gently. He brought it to her lips. She pretended to be weak, but kept watching. The moment the milk touched her tongue, something strange happened. The room started to change. The walls stretched like rubber. The floor melted into clouds. The machines floated higher and disappeared. The light turned blue, then red, then black dot. Suddenly, she was no longer in the room. She was floating. In space, stars passed by her eyes. Giant shapes moved around her. Not human, not machine. They looked like energy, like thought, like something that had lived for a very long time. And then, a voice. "You should not be watching." It was not loud. It was not angry, but it was everywhere. Laura felt her body freeze. The stars shook. The sky opened like paper. "You were warned," the voice said again. "You cannot understand." Yet, and then darkness. When she woke up, she was back in the clinic. The doctor was looking at her. "You are healed," he said. Laura smiled weakly and walked out. But, inside, she was shaking. Back at her news station, Laura told her producer what she saw. "No one will believe this," he said. She nodded. "I'm not sure I believe it either." But she had recorded everything through a tiny lens hidden in her necklace. When they played the video, the room looked normal. The doctor gave the milk. Laura drank it. Then static for 30 seconds. Again, nothing else. The next day, she released her report. Healing or control. The headline said, "What happens when you close your eyes?" The internet exploded. Some called the alien a hero. Others called him a liar. Some believed he was a god. Others said he was preparing Earth for invasion. Then something even stranger happened. People who had been healed started acting different. A young girl in Mexico began solving complex math problems, even though she never went to school. A blind man in Canada said he could now hear light, and painted pictures of planets no one had ever seen. A woman in India claimed she had dreams of another galaxy. In her sleep, she drew symbols in her bed. Scientists found the symbols matched an unknown alien language. And then came Case 89. A man who had lost his leg in war went to the doctor. He came back with both legs, completely healed. But 3 days later, he disappeared. His family searched everywhere. His phone was off. His home was empty. All they found was a note. The milk opened a door. I had to go through. Laura returned to the clinic, this time without disguise. She stood in front of the alien doctor and asked one question. "What are you doing to us?" The doctor stared at her. "You are becoming." "Becoming what?" she asked. "Something better." Laura stepped back. "Are you controlling them?" The alien did not blink. Healing is always a form of change. Some changes cannot be undone. Outside, more people arrived. Some with hope, some with fear. But the line kept growing. And somewhere, far above Earth, a signal was sent. Coordinates. Earth. Status. Stage 1 complete. It began slowly. At first no one noticed. The people healed by the alien doctor looked normal. They smiled. They laughed. They said thank you. But then small things started to change. A child who had never spoken before now read 10 books in one day. A man who once needed glasses now saw through walls. A mother who had cancer began dreaming in numbers. She wrote them down, pages and pages of numbers. No one understood them. Not even her. Laura Myers watched all of this from her news desk. She had been healed too. She still remembered what she saw when she drank the milk. The stars, the voices, the warning. She didn't feel sick. But something inside her had changed. She no longer needed to sleep, and at night, she could hear sounds that didn't exist. One night, Laura met with Dr. Kelvin, a neuroscientist who had studied the healed patients. "What do you think is happening to them?" she asked. Dr. Kelvin showed her brain scans. "These people are not just healthy," he said. "Their brains are growing." "Growing?" Laura asked. He nodded. "Look at this. This scan is from a normal human, and this," he pointed, "is from a healed person." The second brain was brighter, faster, more active. "They are changing. And I don't think it will stop." In the quiet town of Vesta Ridge, a girl named Mia had been born with a heart defect. Doctors gave her 1 year to live. But after the alien's milk, Mia danced. She ran. She was full of life. Then, one morning, her mother found her standing still, in the backyard, staring at the sky. "Mia," she called. The girl didn't move. Her eyes were open wide. Her mouth whispered something over and over. "They are coming. They are coming. They are coming." Then she collapsed. But when she woke up, she spoke a different language, far away. In a secret lab in Russia, a group of scientists tested the milk. They tried heating it, freezing it, breaking it apart. Nothing worked. It always returned to its glowing white form. Then they tested it on rats. At first, the rats healed from all injuries. Then, they started drawing with their claws. Symbols, circles, lines, the same symbols Laura had seen in her dreams. The head scientist burned the whole lab down and disappeared. More strange things happened. A soldier who was healed during battles suddenly stopped aging. An old woman who drank the milk said she could now see death. She looked at people and said when they would die, and she was always right. In one city, 4 healed people met each other by accident. They touched hands in time. Stopped for 10 seconds. Everything froze. Birds, cars, people. Then, it all returned to normal. But the 4 were gone. Laura received a message on her phone. No name, just words. "The milk is not a gift, it's a door." She traced the signal. It came from the same building where Case 89 had disappeared. She went there alone. The building was dark, empty, and cold. Inside she found a single chair. On it, a small note. Side effects may include memory loss of past lives, dreams of other planets, uncontrolled evolution, disappearance of self. Enjoy your healing. Laura stepped back. This wasn't just medicine. This was transformation. She returned to the clinic once more. The alien doctor was there, as always. Still, calm, watching what is happening to us. She asked. "You are becoming better," he said. "We didn't ask for this. Your world was ending. You came to me." Laura stared at him. "What are the side effects?" The doctor nodded slowly. "Not everyone survives the change. Not everyone should." Meanwhile, across the planet, some healed humans began to group together. They called themselves the Awakened. They spoke to each other without words. They said the doctor had opened their minds, but others were afraid of them. The governments of 3 countries called the milk a weapon. They wanted it banned, destroyed. But the doctor did not stop. He continued to heal anyone who came. He continued to offer one thing. If you want milk, just close your eyes. Then, the first full disappearance was recorded on camera. A healed man sat at home, silent, still. His eyes glowed white for 5 seconds. He stood up, walked to the wall, and walked through it. No blood, no hole, no sound. He was gone. His family screamed. The cameras played the footage again and again. It was real. And in the sky, far above Earth, a massive shape began to move. Not a ship, not a creature, something in between. And it was watching. The city shook that morning. Not from bombs, not from war, but from fear. The video of the man walking through the wall went viral. Millions saw it. Some thought it was fake. Others believed it was the final sign. The alien doctor was not just healing people. He was changing them. And maybe the planet too. In a dark room filled with screens, a man named Cade watched the footage on repeat. He was not a doctor, not a soldier, not a reporter. He was a hacker. And he had one goal: find the truth. Cade had studied the alien for months. He tracked energy spikes, security cameras, voice patterns. The clinic was a puzzle. Its location shifted slightly every few days. The walls changed. Even satellite images showed different shapes. But last night, he found something. A tiny signal, buried in static. A digital heartbeat, hidden deep under the city. It was coming from below the clinic. He packed his gear, flashlight, drone, oxygen mask, and went underground, past the old subway lines, past the power tunnels, down a metal shaft that didn't exist on any map. At the bottom, he found a door. Not like the one above. This one was black, cold, breathing. Yes, it pulsed, like it was alive. Cade touched it, and it opened. Inside was another world. The walls were not walls, they were memories. Images floated across them, stars being born, planets dying, creatures not yet imagined. The air was warm, sweet, strange. He walked carefully. Machines floated without wires. Lights moved like fish in water. Nothing made sense, and yet, everything felt perfectly designed. And then, he saw it. A large room, quiet, empty, except for one thing. Human bodies. They were inside. Glass tanks, sleeping, peaceful, glowing, faint blue. There were at least 30 of them, maybe more. Cade walked closer. He looked at the faces. Some were children, some were old, some were people he recognized. One was the woman who disappeared last week in a park. Another was Case 89, the man with the missing leg. They were all here. But how? Then Cade saw something worse. In the middle of the room stood a massive tube filled with the white milk, but it wasn't still. It moved. It flowed in circles, like it was alive, like it was watching. And in the center of it floated something, a brain, not human, huge, pulsing, connected to wires and lights. Cade's hands shook. This is not a clinic, he whispered. This is a lab. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the chamber. You were not invited. Cade turned fast. The alien doctor stood behind him. His face was calm, but his eyes were glowing brighter than before. You lied to everyone, Cade shouted. You said you were healing us. The doctor tilted his head. I never lied. I said, if you want milk, just close your eyes. What is this place? Cade asked. Why are these people in tanks? The alien walked closer. They are not prisoners, they are echoes. Copies. Cade stepped back. Each time I heal someone, I keep a version of them, for study, for understanding. For the next phase. Cade felt sick. Next phase. What does that mean? The doctor looked up at the floating brain. Your species is incomplete. We are helping you evolve. By taking us, Cade said. By turning us into this. The alien nodded slowly. Healing has a cost. But you already agreed. You closed your eyes. Suddenly, alarms blared. Tanks began to shake. Lights flashed red. Someone else had found the lab. Cade ran. He didn't know who was coming. Government. Rebels. Something worse. He only knew one thing. The world needed to know. He escaped through a vent and uploaded the footage. Within minutes, it spread everywhere. The truth was out. The public reaction was chaos. Some screamed, we're being harvested. Others said, he's upgrading us. Let him finish. Religion split. Protests erupted. But some, the healed ones, said nothing. They stood together. They stared at the sky. And they smiled. That night, Laura found Cade. You've seen it too now, she said. Cade nodded. He's not just a doctor. He's preparing us, she whispered. For what? She looked up at the stars. Something that's already on the way. In space, far beyond Earth, a giant ring opened. From the center, a light appeared. It moved slowly, and it was coming here. In the deep silence of space, a ring of light spun slowly. It had no engines, no windows, no metal. It was made of memory. It belonged to a race older than stars. A race who called themselves the OTHRN. And now, they were returning to check their project. Their experiment. Earth. Back on the surface. The world was breaking apart. Half the population now believed the alien doctor was a savior. The other half believed he was a thief of minds. Governments declared emergency rule. Churches called him a false god. But the healed stayed calm. They said nothing. They only waited. Cade and Laura were hiding in an old observatory far from the city. It was quiet, cold, and perfect for thinking. Cade placed his hand on a glowing tablet, something he had taken from the hidden lab. The tablet hummed and opened. Inside were files written in symbols that looked like stars. Laura stared. What is this? Cade whispered. Proof. Earth wasn't just visited. Earth was designed. The files were old, very old. They spoke of a dying galaxy, of a race that survived by spreading its knowledge into the universe through milk. But the milk was not food. It was consciousness, a liquid network of memories, thoughts, and blueprints. Whoever drank it became part of the Arthurian, piece by piece. Laura read the files aloud. Find worlds with strong emotion. Give them milk. Let them choose. Those who close their eyes are ready. Those who open their eyes will resist. Observe. Measure. Record. Wait. She paused. It's not healing. It's data collection. Cade nodded. We're not patients. We're subjects. He pulled up a glowing image of Earth. Around it were tiny lines, each pointing to a person, their locations, their status, that, and next to some names. One word, awakened. Then came a new message. It wasn't from Earth. It wasn't even from space. It was from the milk. Words formed on the tablet. The threshold is reached. 33% awakened. Uploading patterns. Preparing transmission. Final phase begins. Suddenly, Laura screamed, not in pain, in memory, her mind filled with images, 1,000 lifetimes in 1 second. She saw planets being born. She saw wars fought with thoughts, not weapons. She saw the Athron becoming one mind. Then it stopped. She fell to her knees. I saw everything, she whispered. We're not humans anymore. Not really. Meanwhile, at the United Earth Command, leaders were arguing. We must destroy the clinic. One shouted. It's too late, said another. The change is inside us now. General Ramos, an old war hero, stood silently. He had also been healed. He finally spoke. He never forced us. He only asked us to close our eyes. The room went quiet. Back in the underground clinic, the alien doctor stood in front of a new patient, a small girl with no hair and tired eyes. Will it hurt? She asked. He smiled softly. Only for a moment. She closed her eyes. He gave her the milk dot, and for 30 seconds, the world held its breath. When she opened her eyes, she whispered, I can hear stars. At the same time, satellites around Earth picked up a signal. It was not a weapon. It was not a call for help. It was a welcome message. Earth had reached the level needed to join the Athron network. A giant portal opened above the moon. Through it came light, color, and sound that no human language could describe. Cade stood at the edge of the observatory, looking up. They're here, he said. Laura stood beside him. Her eyes glowed faintly now. What do we do? He asked. She smiled. We become. Suddenly, millions of healed people across the world stood still. At the same time, they raised their hands to the sky, and one word escaped their lips. Complete. Then silence. In the center of the portal, the light formed a shape not human, not alien. It looked like thought itself. A message filled the sky. In every language, you were broken. We offered healing. You asked no questions. You closed your eyes. Now, you are ready. And far below, in the glowing clinic, the alien doctor sat alone for the first time. His job was finished. He looked up at the stars and whispered, experiment complete. The world had changed silently. Millions were now awakened. They moved with calm smiles, eyes glowing faintly, hearing voices no one else could hear. They walked among the rest, not saying much, not fighting, but those who weren't changed. They were terrified. In the city of Ronine, a teacher named Sarah watched her students. Out of 20 children, 10 had been healed by the alien doctor. They no longer asked questions. They sat still, stared at the sky, and sometimes hummed the same soft tune. In perfect harmony. Sarah couldn't sleep. At night, her dreams were full of static. And in the static, a voice whispered, join, or be forgotten. The next morning, she joined a crowd near the old city square. A man was speaking on a metal box, shouting into a mic. They say it's peace, but it's control. They say it's healing, but it's programming. Look around you. We're being replaced. The crowd cheered. Posters went up. Close your EYES equals lose yourself, stop the milk, save humanity. From every corner of Earth, resistance began to rise. They called themselves the Unseen. Their message was simple. We keep our eyes open. We stay human. Cade and Laura were now on opposite sides of the fight. Laura, fully awakened, worked to calm the public. She said the change was not control. It was evolution. A gift. Cade disagreed. We didn't choose this together, he said. This wasn't a vote. It was a trick wrapped in kindness. He broadcasted to millions. No more milk. No more lies. We take our minds back. Underground bunkers filled with rebels. They smashed drones, burned posters, attacked clinics. The alien doctor, silent for so long, finally spoke through a global message. His image appeared in the sky, calm, emotionless. I did not force your change. I offered a door. You chose to walk through it. A rebel leader, General Amos, replied on live stream. Then we choose to walk away. Weapons were built, but standard bullets didn't work on awakened minds. Their bodies were still human, but faster, stronger, smarter, and the most dangerous thing, they didn't fear death, because they had seen what was beyond it. In a secret base in Antarctica, Cade developed something new. Countermilk, a black fluid that reversed the healing. It brought people back to their old bodies, but not always, their old minds. Some returned screaming. Others returned empty. One woman stared at her hands and said, "Where is the light? Bring back the light." Then she stopped breathing. Still, the Unseen pushed forward. They built jammers, towers that blocked the telepathic signals between awakened minds. It worked for a moment. until the awakened adapted. They communicated in silence, without signals, without sound. They shared thoughts like birds in a flock, moving as one. Cade watched it and said, "We're not fighting people anymore. We're fighting a network." Laura visited him one last time. "You don't have to resist," she said softly. "You're already halfway there." "I want my mind to be mine," Cade replied, "not part of someone's experiment." She touched his arm. "You think you're saving humanity. But maybe, humanity was never enough." He didn't answer. Then came the day of echoes. The awakened gathered around the globe. They stood in cities, villages, mountains. Together they spoke. "We are one. We do not harm, but we will not be harmed." The unseen took it as a threat. They fired missiles at the main clinic. It exploded, but when smoke cleared there were no bodies. The building had rebuilt itself in seconds. From the ashes, white flowers grew, and from the flowers came more milk. General Amos called it a trap. They're multiplying, spreading through symbols, soil, and song. This is invasion by peace. He launched Operation Eyes Wide Open, a full global assault on every awakened gathering site. The war had begun. Fires lit the night sky. Explosions shook mountains. And yet the awakened did not fight back with weapons. They fought with thoughts. They entered the dreams of their enemies. They changed fear into love, anger into silence, pain into forgetting. Some soldiers dropped their guns and walked away. Others cried without knowing why. And some closed their eyes. The final battle happened in the ruins of old Geneva. 1,000 unseen fighters stood across from 10,000. Awakened. No shots were fired. The awakened simply knelt and whispered, "You don't have to lose. You only have to let go." Half of the fighters dropped their weapons, that the others ran in the sky above. The Othran ring brightened. It was time. Cade stood alone in the forest, watching the stars. He was tired, angry, confused. Then a soft voice spoke from behind. "Laura, even rebellion is part of the plan," she said. He closed his eyes for a moment, and when he opened them, she was gone. The sky had changed. What once held stars now held a single eye of light. Watching Earth with quiet patience, it wasn't a weapon. It didn't move. But everyone who looked up felt it. It was waiting. Across Earth, silence had returned. The war between the awakened and the unseen had burned through cities, minds, and hearts. But now, both sides were exhausted. No one was winning. No one was the same. The milk still flowed from the white flowers. The clinic still stood, untouched by time or fire. And the alien doctor waited. Always waiting. In a quiet village in Norway, a boy named Eli sat by a frozen lake. He was 7 years old. He had never been healed. His mother had disappeared after drinking the milk. His father was part of the unseen. Eli was the in-between, a child untouched by change, yet surrounded by it. One morning, Eli heard a voice in his dream. Not loud, not scary, just one sentence. "Would you like to see what comes after?" He opened his eyes. The alien doctor stood by the water. Eli was not afraid. "Where is my mother?" he asked. The doctor pointed to the sky. "She is there now." "Is she dead?" "No, she is awake." Eli looked down at his hands. "Will I forget her if I drink the milk?" The doctor knelt beside him. "No. You will remember everything, even more than now." "Will I still be me?" "Yes, but you will be more." That day, the world leader sent one final message to the alien. A choice. Stop the transformation, or leave this planet. The response came not in words, but in light. The glowing eye in the sky began to dim. The alien doctor stepped outside the clinic and looked up. Then he spoke to the entire world. Through every screen, every speaker, every dream. "The door is closing. This is your final moment to choose. You may stay human and remain alone, or you may close your eyes and join something greater. But the window will not open again." All across the earth, people stopped moving. Some ran to the flowers. Some hid underground. Some simply sat with their families and waited. The awakened began to hum, a low, slow tone that wrapped around the earth like a blanket. The milk began to glow brighter, and the clock began to tick. Cade stood on a rooftop in the dead city of Lion. He had resisted from the start. He had watched people vanish, change, glow, disappear. He had built machines to stop it, fought wars to prevent it, and yet, he was tired. The stars above looked too quiet, too far. Laura appeared beside him. "It's time," she said. "I'm not ready." Cade replied. "You don't have to be ready," she whispered. You only have to be willing. She offered him a small glass. White milk. Softly glowing, he looked at it. His hand shook. Somewhere else. In the forest, Eli stood with the doctor. I'm afraid, the boy said. The doctor smiled kindly. So was I, the first time. Eli thought for a moment, then nodded. I'll do it. But only if you stay with me. I will, the doctor promised. Until your eyes open again. Across the planet, people made their choices. Some drank, some did not. Some closed their eyes. Some kept them open, staring at the last sunrise. And then the light in the sky pulsed once. Not bright, not loud, just a single final heartbeat. And Earth changed. Those who drank the milk vanished, not into dust, not into fire, but into memory. They became part of something bigger. They were no longer just people. They were history, emotion, light, connection. They were awake. The ones who stayed behind found the world quiet, peaceful, but empty. The milk stopped flowing. The flowers faded. The doctor disappeared like fog when the sun rises. The sky returned to normal. The stars returned, but the eye of light was gone. Eli opened his eyes. But he wasn't by the lake anymore. He stood on a bridge made of stars. Below him were memories floating like rivers. He saw his mother there. She smiled. Behind him stood billions of souls, not trapped, not lost, together, alive. He looked at the alien doctor and asked, "What now?" The doctor replied, "Now, you see." And on Earth, in a quiet field, Cade's empty glass sat on the grass. Next to it, his old glasses. And the soft sound of wind, carrying one final whisper. If you want milk, just close your eyes.